everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to give my first few thoughts on the Nunu rework and kind of say what I've been thinking of this new champion. Now obviously didn't manage to get this up earlier in this week during the reveal, unfortunately was only able to do my regular content, but now that I've had some time to mull it over and we're back to Friday, it's time for us to finally take a look at the Yeti and his boy, or the Boy and His Yeti alternatively, and say what we're thinking of this new design. Now first and foremost, I think Nunu's new kit is actually really good, and I think legitimately he has a chance to see professional play. I think he just delivers so much utility and interesting playmaking potential to a team on top of the usual jungle shenanigans, stealing away camps, objective secure kind of things that he even does right now. So I think Nunu really has a good chance to shine in professional play, and I think his new kit has a lot of really unique effects that can help him out with his team. So anyways, let's go ahead and go through this ability by ability, just to kind of touch on each one, and then we'll talk about his kit as a whole and where I think he's going to land. Now, his passive call, the Freljord, gives him essentially Blood Boil just by entering combat. Now, I know there is a reasonable cooldown on this, so he won't always be able to have it, 10 seconds per target, so it's essentially going to be a once a team fight buff, but it's fairly substantial, gives you at least a 10% bump to your movement speed, 20% to attack speed, which if you're an AD carry and you're near Nunu, that's a pretty substantial buff. The cleave isn't that big of a deal for Nunu and Willem personally. It feels like that's going to be more for just letting them clear a little bit faster than they do currently, but generally speaking, I think that this is going to be pretty strong in team fights, and it kind of reinforces Nunu as being a supportive jungler instead of sort of a frontline playmaking setup champion. So unlike Jarvan or Shyvana, who are going to be jumping into the enemy team to start off fights, Nunu feels like he's going to be better off staying in the back line, peeling for his carries, helping them to find success. Now, the biggest change here, obviously, is that Consume was kept mostly the same, except for the fact that it can now be cast on champions and deal magic damage with scaling based on Nunu's maximum health, and gives him a heal as well on top of the regular minion heal. So this is actually a big deal because it gives Nunu a little bit more damage in fights. Obviously, he still has the ability to just take a bite out of monsters and minions up to 980 true damage. That gives him a 255 heal. That's pretty substantial. Obviously, that's just Nunu things, though, having the consume buff, but dealing that much damage to champions on an additional target ability is a really big deal. It gives Nunu slightly more ability to get some damage down in team fights. Really excited to see how that works. Obviously, I wasn't quite right with my original guess when I was looking at the trailer. Nunu can just cast consume on enemies. But it's nice to see that Riot found a way to make Consume have more use other than just minions and monsters. Nunu now has another button to use in team fights, and that actually feels pretty good. The new W, biggest snowball ever, I really like. I think it's a really unique ability. I think it gives Nunu reasonable chance to gank. I could even see him setting up way behind a tower and ganking through the lane a la Sion. Just kind of walking into lane with that big-ass snowball. Obviously, you can snapcast it in the middle of fights to just get the knock-up immediately, which can be pretty good. It looks like the knock-up size is still decent even at smaller levels. And Nunu's ability to steer this around can kind of set up some zoning plays and make it so that it's hard for enemy champions to get in because Nunu can obviously still move and adjust where the snowball's actually going to land. The AP scaling is also really good, so while I don't think AP Nunu is going to be that good after his rework, he does still have the ability to do some kind of magic damage. So if you really like AP Nunu, obviously you're going to have to get good at landing this ability, and it will do a reasonable amount of damage. So I think it's going to be quite interesting. I'm happy with this because it gives Nunu way more ganking potential and in a bit healthier of a way than walking in and snowballing the guy for a guaranteed slow. Now it's a lot more about landing the skill shot, but it's significantly stronger if he can land it, especially because it helps him combo into Snowball Barrage, which is his E. It deals damage to nearby enemies. Enemies become snowbound, and if they're hit 3 times, they get slowed by 50%. So I think that's going to be a big deal. You can get the knock-up straight into the slow, or the slow into the knock-up, either way. And then you have the root afterwards, which I'm not quite sure how that plays out or how Nunu is able to select enemies for the snowball. I'm not on PvE, unfortunately, so if you guys are, let me know how this ability works, because I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around it. But I think it's going to be pretty strong in terms of just getting some kind of disruption in there. It's another zoning tool for Nunu to use, so even if he doesn't have absolute zero, he can always press E, get some slows down, get some magic damage down, and enemy champions can't be in the AoE or they're going to get rooted afterwards. So it gives Nunu the ability to kind of peel for his AD carry in a less disruptive way than popping the ultimate. So I really like this. It makes his ganks even stronger than they were before, which I think is going to be really good. And in general, I'm a big fan of this ability. Deals a little bit more damage, and it does have a scaling root, so I think that's going to be pretty good. Now, remember though that the root only applies to snowbound enemies, so anyone he's hit with a snowball are the ones that get rooted. So if you were able to jump on the champion after Nunu has thrown all of his snowballs, you have no worries about getting rooted, because Nunu will not actually be able to root you. He's already thrown all his snowballs. So I think it is going to be quite interesting to see how this ability plays out. But again, it gives him additional gank assist, it gives him additional zoning potential. It's just going to be a really strong ability, and that's, again, a part of the reason I think Nunu is going to be good in professional play. He already clears quite quickly, he has good objective secure, he has a good ability to invade enemy jungle, steal away camps. Obviously, the biggest snowball ever makes him even faster moving through the jungle and helps him start up camps quicker. I can see finishing a buff and then popping the giant snowball and running over to the scuttle crab faster than the enemy champion expects you to get there. You have consume for the secure. I think it's going to be really, really good. And obviously his ganks as well. He has just a lot more damage outside of just walking up and auto-attacking. He doesn't have to worry about getting levels or scaling for Blood Boil to do anything. Instead, he just kind of has Blood Boil in his kit. He has all these other buttons he can press when the gank comes through. It's going to be pretty good. Finally, Absolute Zero, which is mostly the same, except for the fact that Nunu also gets a shield while he's channeling. And every second while he's channeling, he receives this shield. So this is actually going to be really good. What it means is that Nunu is now, his ultimate is not really interruptible just by killing him, because the shield is going to make it very difficult for you to actually get onto him. He does obviously have the bonus health scaling, will be building tanky, has this shield, and it reinforces the fact that you should be interrupting his ultimate with some sign of crowd control ability instead of just straight up killing him. So I think it's going to be really good. And if you're playing against Nunu, you will want to make sure you hold on to your crowd control abilities in order to avoid getting killed by him, because it's going to be a lot harder to just burn through his health bar and take him out before he can get the ultimate off. Obviously, besides that, it's the same old Absolute Zero that we remember. Does up to 1200 damage plus 250% AP. So really, really going to be hitting if you can get the full channel off. And obviously, it still does not reveal you if you channel it in a bush. So should be really cool to see how that plays out, even though it's mostly the same. So all these tools, I think, are really what's going to make Nunu a strong pick. I think that the fact that he has good ganks now on top of his objective secure makes him really strong. He has even better peel than he used to. He's no longer entirely dependent on Absolute Zero to get champions off of his carries. Instead, he has the W, he has the E, he has a lot of other tools to deal with them. He has a little bit more damage than he did before with Consume, so maxing Consume is still going to give you PvP damage as opposed to just PvE. It's still going to be really good. So I think Nunu is going to be quite strong indeed. I'm very, very looking forward to this champion. The design, I know I commented on the design when he first was revealed, wasn't a big fan of it. It's grown on me a little bit since then. I still don't know that I really like the 4 arms. I think he would have been better with just 2, but it's grown on me a little bit. I do like the kind of fantasy fairy tale look that the 2 have. I love Nunu's voice. I think he sounds like, you know, a super small kid who's just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and seeing the world for how it is. I really do appreciate that. And interestingly enough, from all of his taunts, it sounds like Nunu still considers himself to be a member of the Frostguard tribe. So I don't know if that means he just considers himself to be a part of it, but he's off roaming with Nunu, or if he has come back to the Frosthold and is still hanging out with Lysandra. That would be really interesting, especially when Lysandra finally reveals her true colors at some point in the story. Obviously, that will be coming soon, TM. We don't really know, but hopefully soon. So we'll see how Nunu ends up playing into the whole Freljord story. Now that he isn't working with Ashe, we don't really have a spot for him in the lore yet, but hopefully we'll get some stories coming up soon that show us where Nunu and Willem are going to fall. Also, I love that they're now Nunu and Willem. I think that's a really good play. It showcases the fact that they are working together. And better yet, the champion now accurately conveys that they are two people. Nunu creates these giant snowballs. They work together for Absolute Zero. Nunu throws the small snowballs at people with his snowball fight ability. I think that's a really, really nice touch. And it really does go to show that Nunu and Willem are working together. And I think this is probably the best duo champion we've had. Obviously, Quinn and Valor kind of fell through the cracks a little bit. It's really more about Quinn than Valor. Kindred are the same deal. It's really more about Lamb than Wolf, unfortunately. So Nunu and Willem, to see Riot being able to finally get a duo champ right, really, really makes me smile. Anyways, those are just my thoughts on the Nunu rework. Go ahead and let me know what you guys are thinking of it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And if you're looking for Grab the Lantern content, you can check out my blog, link down in the description. I upload articles just about each and every single day for your enjoyment. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.